Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a concept that's absolutely fundamental for any data analyst: the simple fact that not all data is created equal. Seriously, understanding the difference is what separates the real pros from the amateurs. So, let's get right into it.
Okay, just think about that for a second. On the surface, they seem totally random, right? You've got these official government records, then you have public opinions, and then, well, your own private order history. But believe it or not, they are all connected.
And boom, there's the connection. They're all just different types of data. And look, for anyone who's doing a data analyst apprenticeship, this is what the K4 standard is all about. Mastering how to classify these types, how to use them, and really how to respect their limits, that's what makes you a true professional.
All right, to make this all feel real, let's put on our analyst hats for a minute. Let's imagine you work for a food delivery app. We'll call it Hungry Now. And your big project? You're planning an expansion into a brand new city. To do that, you're going to need data. Lots and lots of data.
First step in our toolkit is open data. Now, this is the good stuff. It's the data that's shared for the public benefit. So think free, think accessible, and think very, very few strings attached. It's usually released by official sources, like the government. So, for our Hungry Now project, where do we even begin? Well, we'd start with open data from the Office for National Statistics. With that, we can literally map out which neighborhoods have the highest population density or the highest average household income. And just like that, we get a brilliant first look at where our potential customers are hiding.
Next up, we've got public data. Now, this one sounds a lot like open data, but there is a huge difference. It almost always comes with restrictions. We're talking terms and conditions, maybe API limits, or even paywalls. Yeah, you can see it, but it is not a free-for-all.
Okay, back to Hungry Now. We found some promising neighborhoods, but are there any good restaurants there? We can find out by using public data from sites like TripAdvisor or Yelp. The crucial thing to remember here is that we have to respect their terms of service. And look, while this isn't legal advice, it's a golden rule for professionals. Always, always check the license before you start pulling data.
Our third data type is administrative data. This is the stuff your own company creates just by being in business. It's your internal gold mine. We're talking customer orders, delivery logs, all of it. This data is private, it's sensitive, and it's strictly for internal use only. So before we even think about launching in a new city, we've got to look inward. By analyzing our own administrative data, our own delivery logs, our own driver performance, we can ask the most critical question: can we actually handle all these new orders? This data tells us if we're truly ready to grow. And finally, we have research data. Now, unlike the other types, which are kind of just byproducts of doing business, research data is collected on purpose. You have a very specific question that needs an answer, so you go out and you design a survey or an experiment to get that answer. For our Hungry Now expansion, maybe we've got a killer new feature in mind, like some kind of advanced order tracking. Well, instead of just guessing if people will like it, we could run a survey in our new city and gather some research data. This helps us know for sure if we're building something people actually want. Okay, let's hit pause for a second and just soak this in with a little cheat sheet. You see the pattern here, right? Open data is usually from the government, and access is free. Public data comes from private companies, and you gotta watch out for those TNCs. And then with admin and research data, your own organization is the owner, but the rules are totally different. One is all about internal policy, and the other is all about user consent. Laying it out like this, it just clicks, doesn't it? All right, so now we understand all the individual ingredients. But this is where the real work of a data analyst begins. It's time to combine these different data types to build a launch plan that's actually based on solid evidence. So here's how that blend works in practice. First, we start broad with open data to find the market. Then, we zoom in with public data to make sure there are great restaurant partners. Next, we look in the mirror with our admin data to confirm we're ready for action. And finally, we validate the entire plan with some targeted research data. See how each step just logically builds on the last one? That's the magic. And honestly, this is the most essential lesson of all. Any single data type on its own gives you an incomplete and maybe even a biased picture. The real high-level skill of a data professional is knowing how to blend these sources together, ethically and effectively, to uncover the full story. Okay, so for all you data apprentices watching, this next part is for you. Because knowing this stuff is one thing, but you've got to be able to talk about it like a pro. So here's the exact kind of language you can use in your portfolio or for your endpoint assessment. You see the power in that statement? You're not just saying, I use data. Nope. You're specifying it was open data, you're naming the source, and you're showing you get the legal side by mentioning the open government license. Now that sounds professional. Again, this just screams responsibility. You're showing that you understand the rules of public data and that you took actual steps to follow them. To an employer or an assessor, that is a huge green flag. With this one, you're basically saying, you can trust me with your sensitive internal data. You're talking about internal policy and even dropping a key principle like data minimization. It proves you're thinking about privacy and security, which is massive. And finally, for research data, this statement is all about ethics. You're talking about consent and data retention, two things that are absolutely critical when you're collecting information directly from actual people. So let's bring this all home. Understanding these 4 data types isn't just some technical thing you need to do to pass a test. It is fundamental to who you are as a responsible, professional data analyst. So here's what I really want you to take away. 1, always know where your data comes from. 2, respect its rules, its limits, and its biases. And 3, combine different types to build a picture that's way more reliable and valuable. That, right there, is the mark of a great analyst.
And I'll leave you with this thought. You are surrounded by these 4 types of data every single day, from the bus schedule you look up to the reviews you read on an app. Now that you have this framework, what hidden stories is all that data just waiting to tell you?